So apparently, Mercedes Monet is the Thanos of the professional wrestling world. She just won her ninth title. That is insanity for one person to have nine multiple titles from different companies. She is proving the point that fine, I'll do it myself. I'll take all the gold from all these other companies outside of WWE, of course, and I will rule as the greatest women's wrestler of all time, and no one can stop her in this part of the multiverse. There's no Avengers out there to stop the female version of Thanos in wrestling. We got to talk about these different titles, and I'm going to give my opinion on this because this is kind of crazy. Like, it was one of those things where, yeah, it was ramping up the more belts she was getting, but I did not foresee it being nine titles. Let's go over the titles that she actually have, and we're going to talk about this. All right, so these are the titles that Mercedes has. Mercedes Monet is proving to be a force to be reckoned with. Wherever she goes, especially after capturing her ninth title for Monet, her collection proves that there is indeed a thriving career outside of WWE. Mercedes Monet, 9 championship. The AEW TBS championship. Mercedes Monet won the AEW TBS title by defeating Willow Nightingale at Double or Nothing pay-per-view. The victory marked her first match for AEW, and she has held the title for over a year. The CMLL World Women's Championship. Monet won this title from, I'm not even going to try to butcher this name, Zexis. I completely butchered that. At the AEW Grand Slam Mexico event in June 2025 that features CMLL stars. She retained the title days later at CMLL show against Catalina. The third one is the EWA Women's Championship, the European Wrestling Association. Monet earned the EWA Women's title at a Prekatchen event in Vienna, Austria on June 6, 2025. The CEO won a triple threat against Lexa Valo and Mila Schmidt. So that's the third one. The Owen Hart Foundation tournament winner. Monet won the Owen Hart Cup tournament and is accompanying trophy / belt at AEW Double or Nothing 2025. She beat Jamie Hayter to win the title, and also a women's world title against Toni Storm, which honestly I don't know why this technically shouldn't count right here, because this was just, it's like more or less a legitimate trophy that you won in the tournament to give you the opportunity to go for the world title in AEW. So this technically shouldn't count, but that's neither here nor there. 5 and 6 Rev Pro Undisputed British Women's Championship, consisting of the Rev Pro Women's Championship and the Queen of the Southside title. These two belts are never far away from the champ. Monet won the title at Wrestle Dynasty in Tokyo, Japan, defeating Mina Shirakawa, while her New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Championship was also on the line. Okay. 7 Primetime Wrestling Women's Championship on July 27, 2025 at the All About the Monet event in Poland. She defeated Diana Strong to become the new PTW Women's Champion. Number 8, Bestia Wrestling Women's Championship. Monet's victory in Poland didn't just see her win the PTW Women's title. The CEO also captured the Bestia Women's title in the process. And number 9, Discovery Wrestling Scottish Women's Championship. The latest title in Mercedes collection. Monet won this title in August of 2025 with her Rev Pro Undisputed title also on the line. Monet defeated Emerson Jane at Rev Pro's Global Wars UK event. And this is her just covered in titles. Mind you, all of this is 2025 except the AEW TBS Championship. Everything else she has won literally this year within a couple months. That is insanity. Now, here's the thing. Is this dope for her? For sure. Is this something that I'm sure she's enjoying doing, being able to be this Thanos type character and going to all these different promotions and winning the championships? I'm sure she is having a time of her life. Is this probably helping out some of these independent companies? For sure. I'm thinking there is some type of attraction being garnered when, they announced that Mercedes Mone from AEW and former WWE champion is pulling up to these events. I'm sure they get a rise in ticket sales and, the notoriety of her having these championship matches, and winning the championship, or the titles, from these different companies. I'm sure it gains them a little bit of press, a little bit of notoriety, a little bit of social media buzz. That's cool. And I'm not here to say that she shouldn't, be happy with what she's doing. Clearly, she enjoys what she's doing. Clearly, these companies, these different wrestling companies, they don't have a problem with her winning and walking around the world with their title. The issue for me about this whole situation is not that she's not a talented wrestler, not that she doesn't deserve the spot that she has. I think it becomes too much. And what I mean by that is you have all these titles, you have all these championships from these different companies, and I'm not counting the Owen Hart Foundation tournament title because that's a trophy more than anything. I really not count that one. So in my opinion, it's most likely it's just 8. I'm gonna leave it at 8. But they for the semantics, she does carry it around, so they go with 9. Cool, whatever. But I think it hurts in the sense of the value of these belts. Granted, these are in different companies. They have different fan bases. They have different notoriety. But I think just in general, when you look at someone and they have 9 different belts from different companies all around the world, and they just recently got them within a 1-year span, yeah, it makes that person look good. But at the same time, it devalues all these belts because none of them seem that important and special because it just seems like another Infinity Stone. You guys remember the episode when they first started, I think the first season of Loki. And this is after everything that's happened with the Avengers and pretty much all the things that they had to do, the Avengers had to do to, try to find these Infinity Stones, and before Thanos did. And it was a tough task. They were spread across the universe only for us to watch the first season of Loki and see Infinity Stones in someone's cabinet or in their drawer in their desk as paperweights. They were using the Infinity Stones as paperweights. The reason why I compare that is because they come off as paperweights. They don't come off as special, not because the companies don't have prestige with these titles, but because there's so many of them. It becomes to, all right, which company she gonna go to next and take the title? Which company she gonna go to next and take the title? Each title that she gained, the last one that she just had, just becomes a footnote like, oh, well, I got this one from this place, and then that's about it. And then at some point, is she going to go back to all of these companies at some point and lose? That would require her to lose at least 8 times. Not even 7 times at least. I'm not even going to count AEW. That's something that she's on more frequently in the States. So is she going to go back to all these companies and lose to someone? That's a decent amount of losses in all these different companies. That's the thing too. So it becomes one of those, all right, well, you got the title, what's going to happen afterwards? And that's why it's I feel like sometimes less is more. And I'm not saying that she shouldn't go to all these other different companies and wrestle for them and try to gain some type of notoriety for the company and put on good matches and try to go for the titles. I'm not saying that, but I do think at some point it becomes a lot. Because I'm sure we're not done. The year's, we're kind of halfway through the year at this point, or a little bit more than halfway. I'm willing to bet there's a good chance she could probably end off this year with at least 11 or 12 titles. I'm not even lying. I could possibly see that, and that's if we're counting the Owen Hart title or the the cup that she won. So it's just one of those things where it's like I'm happy that she's enjoying herself, but it does dilute the specialness of all these other belts because it becomes all right. She just won this last one. What other company she's gonna go to next and take that one? And then that one gets pushed down because it doesn't seem as if she's defending all of them at all at one time. She can't. So it doesn't seem like she's gonna be losing, any of these titles anytime soon. So yes, she's walking around as the Thanos with all the belts, but I think they start to lose their value because there's just so many of them. It's like, all right, what are we doing now? Where are we gonna go with this whole belt collector story? At some point, you got to start dropping these belts. At some point, and maybe then that would be one of those things where it can maybe potentially raise up some of these wrestlers in these other companies. But how many times is she gonna lose? Because eventually, if she starts losing all these belts back to these individuals in these other companies, it doesn't hit the same. Because all right, well, she just lost there. No, she just lost there. Oh, she just lost there, So it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I have a mixed reaction. I'm not one of those people that's like overly negative about it, but I can understand why some people will be like, yeah, this is a little bit too much. All right, we get it. She's the belt collector. Let's start dropping some of these belts and maybe helping some other individuals get over in the process. But hey, I want to get y'all opinion on this whole situation. Are you guys in favor for Mercedes Mone being the Thanos of the wrestling world and just taking all types of women championships all over the world? Or do you guys feel like, all right, it was fun at first, now it's kind of gotten redundant, it's losing its specialness? Do you guys think she should probably slow down, maybe start losing some of these belts to these companies? Or have you guys never been a fan of it and always thought this was just something that shouldn't be happening in the wrestling world, in your opinion? Y'all let me know down below. But I appreciate all love, support. Road to 150K. Appreciate y'all kicking it with me. See y'all next one. Peace.